Welcome to the Sharp Mind Show. This is episode 4. This episode is brought to you by Insercell.com. Make sure you go pick you up a cool inspirational t-shirt at Insercell.com. I started with nothing, so how can I lose? Drop is out right now. So, first things first, right? Kentucky cheerleader charged with leaving her dead infant in a trash bag in a closet, right? Laken Snelling is a 21-year-old senior at the University of Kentucky and a member of the STUNT cheerleading team. Police found the body of her newborn infant. Police found the body of her newborn infant in a closet, wrapped in a towel and placed in a bag. So she's being charged with abuse of a corpse, tampering with physical evidence, and concealing a birth of an infant. So now when I first saw this story, I really thought, like, how disgusting. How could someone do this to a brand newborn infant little baby, right? But knowing now what women go through to give birth, you could definitely say that this lady wasn't in her right mind after giving birth to an infant, especially if she did it in a dorm room. But this goes to say that the United States right now and most modern countries are not necessarily the most nurturing places to have babies, right? And it goes to show that this is definitely something that is causing the birth rate to go down, right? The birth rate for America right now, I think, is like 1.8 and falling. And there's a couple of countries out there that are in like the 1.3 range, which basically means the death of society, right? But you have to, like, us as a society has to learn and figure out how to make society where it's okay to have children again, right? Where it's okay that you feel like it's safe to provide this world for a new child, right? So right now, me having a daughter, 15 months ago, and we live in a place that's considered to be one of the safer places to be. We live in a place where, all the schools are schools of distinction, that kind of thing. One of the safer places to be, one of the better places to be. And we still don't think we're going to send our child to school, right? Even with all that said, if this is the standard, the highest of the standard, then the standard for having kids in school is too low, right? So like I say, my mind, now having kids, definitely went to a whole different direction on this story. At first I thought I would, very much bash this girl. Like, this girl's got to live with what she did. Obviously, she's probably going to go to prison. But for whatever reason, there was no one there helping this young lady, right? There was no one there You know, no family there supporting this young lady. Obviously, whatever male was involved wasn't involved with this young lady. And it led to the death of her infant, right? Because due to hormonal changes of childbirth, you know, you're talking about, you know, her going through Great Depression. She may not even know what she was doing, you know, all kinds of things that could have been going on. I'm saying this goes to say, we chose to have my wife's placenta put into pills so that she would not have the hormonal fluctuation that women have after childbirth, right? So the idea is that the placenta has all these hormones in it. You make them into pills, and you take the pills. Also has iron in it. So when you lose blood after giving birth, you also have iron. But you don't have this big wave up and down of hormones that you have, you know, without it, right? Obviously, the side effect of that is less milk production, because the fluctuation of hormones is what helps with the milk production. But I would definitely say, in our experience, it definitely helped with the mental health aspect of it. But you still have, you know, basically pure exhaustion after having a child, and having to be up every 2 hours, you know, with the child. But that's what we really need to do. We really need to expand on being able to help someone like this, right? This person should not have been doing this alone. She should have been able to go to family, friends, the community of women, to be able to have her baby. And even if she ended up, you know, basically giving the child up for adoption, it definitely would have been a better outcome than the newborn being wrapped and ended up in a closet, right? So let me know what you think about this in the comments below. You know, obviously, it's a very sad story, but it definitely made me start thinking about, like, what kind of community or what kind of environment do we want to be facilitating. You know, what kind of environment do we want to be facilitating into the world, right? What kind of environment do we want to facilitate into this world for our children, right? So we got to do better. All right, so if you haven't already, this is episode 4. Make sure you like, follow, and comment down below, right? This episode is brought to you by London and the Googly Goo, my wife's book. It's a children's book, and it's really good. If you hadn't checked it out, check it out in the link below. And let's start on the next topic. All right, so big story of the day is that, you know, the Department of Justice is not releasing the Epstein client list, right? Or what they call the client list, or people that were on the island or flew to the island, you know, of Epstein, right? So the victims of Epstein are just going to go ahead and release their own list, right? And basically this would be, you know, an eyewitness account of who all was there, not necessarily that they took part in anything, but they do, you know, we do have court documents of what these victims said in court and who they named in court. The 3 biggest names, including Prince Andrew, Donald Trump, and Bill Clinton. They did not specifically say that Donald Trump participated in anything, but they did say Prince Andrew did and Bill Clinton did, right? So in a lot of ways, this could basically be like a slander list, right? Because you don't actually know, because Epstein was basically like this big guy in New York, right? So it would make sense if you're doing real estate deals, to try to raise money from somebody that's a big shot, right? But that being said, if you knew about what was going on and didn't do nothing about it, then maybe that's a problem too, right? But let me know in the comments below why you think they're not releasing the Epstein list, and who you think might be on the Epstein list. But like I said, the biggest three names that we think would be coming down on that list would be Prince Andrew, Donald Trump, and Bill Clinton. And it would make sense that, why the reverse would be, because they basically like released the list and then they didn't release the list. So it's like, well, why didn't you release the list? It's probably because you have people on there that you don't want to get out, right? So that's kind of my 2 cents on that. Really, obviously Epstein is dead, and you could go into big speculation on that kind of stuff, but Maxwell's still alive, and she's in prison. So, all right. So, story number 3. Got 1,800 lawsuits worth $2 billion against Ozempic maker Novo Nordisk, right? And they're allegedly causing blindness, right? These GLP-1s, right? So because of these lawsuits, the stock over the last 12 months has dropped over 60%, right? So it went from 150, 148 to 56.38 is right what it is right now today. That's a PE of 14 with a 3% dividend. GLP-1s are making about $8 billion a year. They've already made $4 billion this year, and like I say, every time I see a commercial, it's for GLP-1 of some kind. And like I say, they did have like a deal with Hims, right? And Hims did crazy marketing on GLP-1s. You're seeing a lot of celebrities, including The Rock, being saying that not saying they're on GLP-1s, but being suspected of being on GLP-1s to lose weight. But basically, this is my favorite thing, right? This is an example of a stock that is a value investment stock, right? They got this big lawsuit against them. They'll probably settle out of the lawsuit. So say, they're going for $2 billion. They'll probably settle the lawsuit for $1 billion. This thing's making $8 billion a year. And the margins on the GLP-1 is probably like 2,000%. I don't know if that's exactly accurate or not, but margin on pharmaceuticals is very high, right? That's why people like investing in pharmaceutical companies. But basically, this is a big time example of a value investment. Like I say, not financial advice, but you got a PE of 14, 3% dividend to hold it. If they get through this lawsuit, this thing might pop back up to 100. At least with $8 billion a year in revenue, you're talking about a big time winner here. For example, the biggest company in the world only has about 50 billion in revenue, right? So, and it's worth about 4 trillion, so you got to keep that in mind. But this is also what you're looking for. So if you're holding a stock, this is also what you're looking for. So if you have, so this thing went down 60% in 12 months, right? So if you are holding this stock, you're going to have a big time problem if you lose 60% of your stock's value, right? So if you're holding an individual stock and you see something about to happen like this, you know, where they're about to get sued because of their big product and the stock price is going to go down, then you know you got to get out, right? You know, so you don't just as a great investor, you don't spot just what's winning, you also spot what's going to go wrong, right? So that's kind of the point of this this example here in Novo Nordisk, right? Like I say, not financial advice, but this is definitely an example of a value investment right now, because they settled the lawsuit, said, you know, whatever they settle it for, you know, you will definitely get some kind of rebound or spike based on that, right? Not financial advice, right? But like I say, this is what we're looking for all day long, and got another example after this, right? So Sydney Sweeney has this controversial ad with American Eagle, right? And, you know, I was looking at it thinking like, oh, okay, well, it didn't really, you know, pop that much considering, you know, what it should have done, right? And let's say what it should have done. And, but of course, they had earnings yesterday, American Eagle, and they beat their expectations, having 1.28 billion in revenue in quarter two. And their full year guidance has it, you know, much, much higher, right? They basically called the Sydney Sweeney advertising the best advertising American Eagle ever had, right? And this kind of goes back to, you know, what I said about Cracker Barrel, where Cracker Barrel basically got all this free advertising by having, you know, doing something that was controversial, right? So basically they said, you know, that, you know, Sydney Sweeney has great genes, and they spelled it as Gene, like Gene. So basically blonde hair, blue eyes, you know, that kind of thing. That's what she has, which obviously that's what she has. But and you know, and then they crossed out genes and put J-E, you know, spelled out genes correctly. But so this has sent this stock up 25%. Just the earnings call yesterday sent it up 25% overnight, right? So this is kind of what I call like the sleeping giant, right? Like you didn't really know what the Sydney Sweeney effect would be, but this company definitely got like crazy advertising from this controversial story, right? Let's say American Eagle has been down for a long time, like a long time, and we can look at it real quick. All right, so American Eagle was at $34, $33 in 2021, $37 in 2021. And they were sitting last night before the jump at $13.62, right? And they were under, before the Sydney Sweeney ad, they were, you know, basically $10, right? So they were down, you know, again, 60% before this controversial ad, right? So, like I say, this is also what we're looking for. We're looking for value investments, right? We're looking for things that are down, but the company's still good, the stuff is still there, and then they do something that can cause the stock to rise, right? And say, this is how you beat the market every year, right? This is how you go from, you know, okay, I'm going to make 10% every year to I'm going to make 2,000% on my money every year, right? And this is a small example. This company was $10 a share, right? So you're talking about, you know, making big time money if it goes up 25%, right? And the risk is, you know, and I'm pretty sure this company's got a dividend. Let's see. Yep. So this company has a 50-cent dividend too, 3.67% dividend. So they are paying you to hold it. So number one, paying you to hold it. Number two, it's down and shouldn't be. And number three, they're doing something to try to change it, right? They're doing something to try to get attention, right? Because we live in an attention market now. So, you know, Sydney Sweeney definitely pulled American Eagle up by her jeans. But this is what we're looking for. We're value investors. That's what we're looking for. And that's pretty much all I got to say about that. American Eagle is definitely going to be, you know, going up. And, you know, I think that's a good thing, right? Because back in the day, like American Eagle, like was the one that had the pants that I could wear, right? Whereas Aeropostale or Abercrombie and Finch or all these other ones, the sizes didn't go up to my size, right? So, so that's why I like American Eagle from back in the day. But, you know, hopefully, you know, they keep rolling with it, right? So this has been the Sharp Mind Show. I'm Nate, and I'm a life coach. If you're interested in life coaching, you're interested in learning how to value invest, you're interested in setting things up where, you know, you become financially free, that kind of thing, then if you're looking to make it where you have a way of thinking that is different than what normal people do, right? The problem is normal people were taught by school, and now you have to think differently now to be successful, right? So if you want to be successful, sign up for life coaching in the description below, or hit me up in the DM. Obviously, shop at InstaSell.com. Pick you up a cool inspirational t-shirt. This is our newest drop now. Started with nothing, so how could I lose? And we'll see you guys in the next one, episode 5. Peace.